It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 262. That in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, happy Saturday out there to y'all, man. Hope y'all enjoying y'all weekend, and I'm glad as always, and I appreciate y'all, and I love y'all as always for coming on back to the channel once again and fucking with the bean. Now, for this video, we going back to our homegirl. And y'all know who that homegirl is. Anna Horror Stories. Going back to Anna, y'all. Title of the video: creepy photos taken by serial killers with disturbing stories. Creepy photos taken by serial killers. That right there already just got me sold on the video. You know what I'm saying? That right there just let me know this shit already. It just let you know how crazy it's finna be, man. Ain't no telling what kind of photos we finna see. I'm just real eager and excited to see it with my brothers and sisters. But before we see them photos, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need. We back to Anna once again. Y'all got what y'all need, y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
I just started screaming. I started backing up. He came at me. He got his arm around my neck, and somehow his thumb got in my mouth, and I bit down so hard.
By that hot July night in 1958, Harvey Gladman had raped and killed 2 females.
Damn.
He'd come to enjoy it. But now, since it had been 7 months since his last crime, and the police so far had not shown up at his door, he resolved he was overdue for a little more fun.
Anatoly Slivko was born in Russia in 1938. Many monsters are created through some sort of trauma, but it seems Slivko was born a monster.
The following stories tell the tale of photos with some disturbing backstories that were taken by serial killers. We have a man obsessed with feet and high heels, a deranged killer who would stalk models looking for prey, and a man who killed little boys by stringing them up with ropes and having his way with them.
Crazy.
And I'm here to talk about my survival with Jerome Brudos.
Women to him are expendable. He had no remorse whatsoever.
Imagine thinking that you know everything about your husband and the father of your children, just to find out that in reality, he's a sick monster who tortures and kills innocent people for fun. This was the case of Jerry Brudos. Over the course of 15 months, Jerry brutally assaulted, tortured, and killed 4 different women in Oregon. He was a truly depraved person who had unhealthy desires he made no attempt to control or get help with. Crime scene reconstructionist Rod Engler recalls a conversation he had long ago with Jerry, in which he tried to gain understanding of what went through this man's head when he searched for his victims. Jerry had a huge foot fetish and was obsessed with women in high heels. In fact, when he was married, he would make his wife clean their home wearing nothing but high heels and would take pictures as she did. Creepy.
How the hell could you be married to somebody who got a fetish like that? Like, I'm not a woman, so I can't be a wife, but if I try to put my perspective and my point of view into a wife's shoes or a wife's high heels in this scenario, if my husband get off from me wearing high heels while I clean up and shit, nothing, I ain't got nothing on, I don't know. Maybe they thought it was some freaky deaky shit. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, my husband like to see me in high heels. I don't know. Maybe you can look at it that way too. But y'all get what I'm saying? That shit weird. And this ain't the first story I done heard of a motherfucker who obsessed with women in heels and shit. But it's weird as fuck nonetheless. Let's go.
Right? Jerry's victims were just normal people. They were moms, sisters, co-workers, and friends that were simply disappearing without a trace. The longer this went on, the more fear spread in the community as everyone wondered if they would be next. This was a truly sick person who did not feel guilty for the pain he had inflicted on his community. He is someone who, if he was never apprehended, would have probably continued to kill and kill again.
Yeah, he was the personification of evil.
In order to understand how this person came to be as sick as they were, we have to take a look back at Jerry's early life, which was not an easy one. He was born in South Dakota in 1939 and was the second child. His mother greatly favored Jerry's brother and would often simply ignore him. His father was not much better, so Jerry grew up feeling like the lesser choice, which must have taken a great toll on his self-confidence. Growing up, Jerry's parents didn't watch him very closely, so he was pretty much free to do as he wanted. It was through this he discovered his foot fetish at just 5 years old.
The most shocking thing is that somebody like Jerry Brudos can be allowed to get away with what he did, because he was allowed to grow into the monster that he became.
Jerry got so excited about the shoes that he actually brought a pair home. When his mom found out, she grew upset and burned them. But this would not be the end of his obsession with feet, which would carry through his teenage years, growing more and more intense. He would steal women's underwear and play with it, and this would arouse him. Jerry loved to see just how many times he could get away with stealing. It made him feel powerful, an emotion that had before that point been unfamiliar to him. He would take women's clothes from the clotheslines or stores, and he would even break into homes. But this wasn't going to be enough to satisfy his desires. He wanted to kick things up a notch. He lured a girl into his house and forced her to allow him to take pictures of her in her underwear. Jerry's first victim did not turn him into the police, which only further convinced him that he could get away with anything. Just months later, he came upon his next target, a 17-year-old girl who he lured into his car by telling her he would give her a ride home. When she refused to take her clothes off for him, he became angry and started to brutally beat her. Luckily, someone heard the commotion and called the police before he could kill this young girl. But instead of being sent to prison, Jerry was sent to a mental facility to be evaluated. This was when he would be diagnosed with his fetish, as well as schizophrenia. The 17-year-old was released after just 9 months.
The only way to incapacitate him is to lock him up, which they finally did, but they did it after he had already killed so many women. If he had been incapacitated earlier, then many women's lives would have been saved.
Exactly, bro. And this is the case with so many of these damn murderers, man. The signs be there early. So early in this case with Jerry, the damn signs were there when he was 5 fucking years old. He already got a foot fetish. And that shit is weird, right? Ain't that shit weird to y'all? For a 5-year-old to be infatuated with fucking women wearing high heels, and it just got worse and worse, and it's like the signs just building up. You know what it's gonna end. You know this gonna end and him end up murdering some of these women, stealing underwear and all that shit. This shit could have been prevented. That's what I be hating, man. Like, the signs be there to stop it before it happens, and it still fucking happens. Crazy.
Upon finishing high school, Jerry would go on to spend a brief period of time in the military. He would later take a couple of odd jobs before taking a job at a radio station at the age of 24. It was there that he would meet Darcy, a 17-year-old girl that he would later make his wife. He controlled everything Darcy did and wore, even down to her lingerie. Darcy quickly got pregnant, but by the time she had their second child, she made it clear to Jerry that she was done dressing up for him and doing all the things that satisfied his fantasies. If he wanted to do that, he would have to go elsewhere, and so he did.
The things that caused him sexual satisfaction, that he would have to capture real adult women victims and then to hurt them and ultimately to kill them. His sexual fantasies drove him to keep doing this.
This was just the start of Jerry's reign of terror across the state of Oregon, as young women began disappearing one after another. Linda Saley was one of those victims. She was 22 when she went missing, and her younger sister Becky was just 10 at the time. Becky looked back upon her sister with fond memories. It was April 23rd of 1969, a normal day, when Linda decided to go to a local shopping mall to get a present for her friend. Sadly, she would never return. She was supposed to attend a birthday party for her boyfriend the next day, but she never turned up. When her parents became aware of her disappearance, they got worried and called the police. Her parents notified the police. At this point, Linda had been the fourth young girl to have gone missing from the area of late. People were really starting to get worried. This worry grew even greater not long after when two fishermen would accidentally stumble upon a highly disturbing discovery. It would be a heartbreaking one for the family members of Linda Saley. 17 days after her appearance, Linda's body was found in a river. While police didn't know it at the time, Linda had been another one of Jerry's victims. When Linda went to the mall that one day to buy a birthday present, Jerry confronted her in the parking lot, pretending to be a police officer. He accused her of shoplifting and made her sit in his car. He then took off with her and later killed her. Sadly, the murder didn't happen right away. Instead, Jerry took Linda back to his home and he put her in the garage, all without his wife and children knowing. He tied her up in the garage and then went up into the house to have dinner with his family.
Nothing was going to stop him. There was apparently no conscience. There was apparently no remorse. He seemed to me, interviewing him in prison, as this happy-go-lucky guy. He would laugh, he would tell jokes.
Imagine being one of the people who loved Linda so dearly, who would later have to hear the details that would be part of the tragic last hours of her life. Linda's younger sister recalled these details painfully. Jerry not only took advantage of Linda's body, but brutally strangled her and did experiments upon her. He treated her as less than human. Even after decades, Linda's family never recovered from the pain Jerry caused. It literally ruined their lives. Linda Saley would not be the only Linda that Jerry would victimize. He would take advantage of yet another Linda with the last name of Slauson. This Linda was a 19-year-old door-to-door salesman who walked right up to Jerry's home. He probably couldn't have believed his luck. He lured Linda into his garage, her over the head until she was unconscious, and then undressed her. He killed her and then sawed off her foot. Jerry knew.
Dude, like, this dude is obsessed with feet, like, for real now. Now it's just, when they get to the level of you sawing their feet off, like, god damn, that's how obsessed he is with the shit. Jerry damn story could be a movie. The Obsessed Feet Man, the movie. Like, for real, man. This dude was fucking crazy as shit. How in the fuck do you get aroused from this? How does this arouse you? Crazy as fuck.
He wouldn't be able to keep the victim's entire body, but the foot would help him continue on with his sexual fantasy.
Sex was part of it, but it was more control. Think about it. They're dead. He controls them. He can do anything that he wants. So it's that act of humiliation. It's the act of, for lack of, and I don't know a better word, but to sort of, dehumanize. It's part of the hate. They can't fight back. They can't talk back. I'm in control in every aspect of your life. So to him, in a lot of ways, they were still alive.
He would later end up disposing of Linda's body in the river. His next victim would be Jan Susan Whitney, a 23-year-old whose car broke down on the interstate. He told her he would give her a ride, and she trusted him. But when he got her inside of his car, he brutally assaulted her and then took her back to the house, where he kept her for a period of time before eventually killing her and having sex with her dead body. Jerry would remove his victim's breasts before dumping it in a river. Then he was ready for his next target, who would turn out to be Karen Sprinker, an 18-year-old woman. He came across Karen in a parking lot at Oregon State University and forced her into his vehicle. He took her back to his house where he repeatedly attacked her and took photos of her naked body. All the while, she begged for her life. When he was finally through with her, Jerry took a rope and tied it around the poor girl's neck and hung her until she was dead.
He would put a noose around their neck, and he had what's called a come-along. And a come-along is a device that is like a winch. In other words, it's got a hook on the end, and then a long cable, metal cable, that'll go out as far as maybe 10, 15, 20 feet. And with a ratchet and a jack, and you can manipulate it. And this is hard to talk about.
As if he had not already done enough to this innocent girl, Jerry would continue to abuse and mutilate her body even after he killed her, taking some of her as souvenirs. Jerry's next victim would be Sharon Wood.
Okay, goddamn, how many fucking victims he got? Why this man ain't got caught yet, man? This shit is fucking crazy because so many victims and he doing all of them in the worst way possible. Even after they dead, the stuff that he doing to them is just sickening. This dude here, man, makes you just... He dehumanizing them, but it make me feel like a bad person. Like, it make me feel like, damn, man, humans really can be this fucking nasty and cruel and brutal. Like, I'm a part of this race. I'm a part of people who do shit like this. Like, it make me don't even want to be a human. Like, I don't even want to goddamn claim myself as a human when there's humans out here who doing fucked up shit like this. This dude here. Wow, bro. This dude here.
A 24-year-old secretary. She was simply on her way to work in April of 1969 when Jerry attempted to kidnap her.
So it was a beautiful spring day. It was one of those days in April, a rare Portland day where you didn't need a coat. And I had dropped my children off at the sitter, and then I went to work, and I worked all day. And when I couldn't find my keys after a day of work, I asked my work study student Alex if he could just cover for me. I just said, I need to go down to my car and see if I left my keys in the car.
But Sharon hadn't only forgotten her keys, she had forgotten where she parked. As she was wandering around the parking lot area, she suddenly realized that she was being followed.
And suddenly I realized there's somebody behind me, and they're turning every time I turn. I haven't seen this person, I just feel this presence, and then I feel a tap on my shoulder. And what I remember is him saying, ma'am.
It was Jerry, and he pretended to be lost too, in order to gain Sharon's trust. But before she knew it, he pulled a gun on her and told her that if she screamed, he would shoot her.
I just started screaming. I started backing up. He came at me, and then he got his arm around my neck, and somehow his thumb got in my mouth, and I bit down so hard. And then I didn't even know I had what you call fear paralysis. That's when your jaw locks and you just can't move.
The two continued to fight, and her jaw remained locked on his hand. He threw her to the ground until he eventually got free and ran off. Sharon was left in a daze, but was okay. Out of all of Jerry's victims, Sharon would be only one of two to manage to get away alive. Sharon would later be able to identify Jerry from a mugshot, finally giving the police a reason to arrest him. But he and his family were already on the run. When they finally tracked him down, he was in the car with his wife and children. When the police searched his home, they found a studio in his garage where he had countless photos of dead women in various states of undress and dismemberment. After a long interrogation, he would end up admitting to the murders.
Brutus was very proud of what he did. He liked the attention. He liked the media. All the photographs that you will see him in the media, whether walking in the court, handcuffed, not handcuffed, he'd have a little smirk on his face. Brutus, in my opinion, went to his death being on top of his game. He was still smarter than you. He was smarter than us. He outsmarted everybody.
Jerry was sentenced to life behind bars, but would only live until the age of 67 when he passed away from liver cancer.
That was a wild ass fucking story, man. It's like no matter how many of these damn crazy motherfuckers that we watch, my brothers and sisters, it just still just blows my damn mind. This dude was fucking insane. This man was fucking crazy. Like, and then the craziest part is that he actually got off from the craziness. In his brain, the shit wasn't crazy. It's something that maybe it was crazy. I don't know how these crazy motherfuckers think, but what I'm trying to say is he actually got off from the shit. It excited him. It excited him. The more he did the shit, the more it excited him. You taking pictures of dead women while you got their body chopped up and dismembered and shit, and you actually liking it, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and he was never gonna stop until he got caught. This motherfucker would have still been doing this shit to this day if he would have still been living. You know what I'm saying? Like, until he got caught, he was gonna keep doing this shit, man. Like I said, man, it just make me just don't even want to claim to be a human. Like, I don't even want to associate myself with the human race when you look at motherfuckers that do shit like that. That one was crazy, y'all. Let's go to the next one. Harvey Glattman.
By that hot July night in 1958, Harvey Glattman had raped and killed 2 females. He'd come to enjoy it. But now, since it had been 7 months since his last crime, and the police so far had not shown up at his door, he resolved he was overdue for a little more fun.
Harvey Glattman, who became known as the Lonely Hearts Killer, or the Glamour Girl Killer, was born on December 10, 1927 in New York. From a very young age, he began displaying odd behaviors and seemed to get sexual pleasure through experiencing pain. He would do odd things like tie a string around his genitals or would tie a rope around his neck. Of course, his parents were concerned and took him to see a doctor, but they were only told that he would grow out of it. But he didn't grow out of it, and by the time he was a teenager, he was already committing crimes. It started with breaking and entering apartments and stealing things. He didn't have very good social skills and struggled with severe acne, which may have played a role in the decisions he would make later in life.
Glattman started to break into houses. Unlike other everyday burglars, however, he didn't do it for gain. He broke into houses simply for the excitement.
It wouldn't be long before he would kick things up a notch and he began stalking and assaulting women. He would break into women's homes, force them down, and take advantage of them in brutal and heartless ways. He would tie them with rope and have his way with them, all while pleasuring himself. He was eventually arrested, and in August of 1945 was found guilty of kidnapping and assault. But instead of being sentenced to prison for his crimes, he was sent to a mental facility where he was to spend 5 to 10 years.
Say what? Come again, Anna? Come again, Anna. This motherfucker been around here assaulting women and doing all this crazy shit. And he didn't go to prison. He went to the crazy house. Now, I agree. He is crazy as fuck. But fuck the crazy house. This motherfucker need to be in prison. You know what they need to do? They need to come up with a prison that is also a crazy house. Like, it need to be prison and a crazy house put together. You know what I'm saying? Like, the crazy house, yeah, you can't leave or whatever, but it's not as bad as prison. Like, you need to be locked the fuck up. That's crazy, man. Insanity. I guess he claimed insanity, so he get to go to the crazy house, even though he didn't fucking... Oh my God, now I'm getting frustrated with the video, y'all. This dude just as crazy as the damn first person. It's some... Bruh. All I can say is, like I always say, man, humans can be the greatest thing on fucking earth and the worst things at the same goddamn time.
While he was in that facility, he was diagnosed with psychopathic personality and schizophrenia. These days, we know just how serious a diagnosis like this must be taken, and how important proper treatment is. However, Harvey was released from the facility and sent on his way just after 3 years. Harvey ended up moving to California, where he would set his sights on modeling agencies, looking for his next available victim. He worked as a photographer, which helped him gain access to these women.
Glattman started work as a TV repairman again and rented a small apartment on Melrose Avenue, saving enough to buy a used 1951 Dodge Coronet, and enough left over for some expensive photography equipment. He also invented a name, Johnny Glenn, for his photographer identity.
It was through photography that he would meet two of his victims, Judith Dull and Ruth Mercado. He took them both back to his apartment under the guise of taking photographs of them. He would then strangle them and dump their bodies. He would meet his third victim, Shirley Ann Bridgeford, through a Lonely Hearts advertisement he read in the newspaper. This is how he got the title of the Lonely Hearts Killer. Harvey attempted to take yet another victim, a woman named Lorraine Vigil, but luckily, his efforts were thwarted. A police officer saw him, and the woman struggling on the side of the road interfered, taking him into custody. He would later confess to the other murders. Harvey was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. He was executed at the age of 31 in September of 1959 by a gas chamber.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. What happened to him at the age of 31? Young motherfucker. He young as hell. I'm 32, you know what I'm saying? So we basically around the same age when he died. But if you fuck around and be killing all these people and doing all that crazy shit, fuck getting your life, fuck putting you in the crazy house, fuck all that. Get your ass the death penalty. And when you get the death penalty, that mean in the time span of a year, you only got no more than a year to live and your life over with. Death fucking penalty for these motherfuckers, man. That will stop a lot of this crazy shit. It won't stop. It still be crazy motherfucker, but it'll stop some of these motherfuckers if they know when they kill somebody, your ass when we find out you killed these people and did all this crazy shit, your ass gon' fucking die. That need to be the message that we send out here, man. Fuck all that life and you get to still watch TV and play basketball and eat good and have a bed to sleep on, whatever the fuck be going on in prisons. You know, going and reading books and what the fuck ever. They probably got damn iPads in damn prison now and shit. I don't fucking know. But these fucking murderers, your ass need death. And I'm glad he got it. Glad that motherfucker got it. And it's a lot of other motherfuckers who need it too. We need to change these damn rules, y'all. These rules need to be fucking changed. Fuck all that other shit, man. Give they ass death. The death penalty. Let's go.
Andy Slivicko was a Soviet serial killer and necrophile.
Anatoly Slivko was born in Russia in 1938. Many monsters are created through some sort of trauma, but it seems Slivko was born a monster.
To understand how he became the killer he was, we must take a look at his early life. Anatoly's childhood was not a stable one. The war was going on and his parents often argued. His father was also an alcoholic. Anatoly was a sick childhood who struggled with academics. He would later say he associated his childhood with hunger and extreme poverty. At a young age, he discovered that he was homosexual, but kept this information to himself. As you can imagine, this is not something that would have been widely accepted at that time. Eager to get away from his humble origins, he enrolled in college and later spent some time in the military. Anatoly's sister introduced him to a young woman named Lloydmila, and the two began dating. They would later get married and have 2 children together. He cared for his wife but wasn't attracted to her physically and had no sexual satisfaction with her. In 1961, Anatoly would have an experience that would change his life. It was a type of sexual awakening that would come about in a horrific way.
He witnessed a car accident in which a drunk driver crashed into a group of pedestrians, resulting in the death of a young boy. Slivko found himself feeling aroused by the sight of the dying boy and decided to chase that high.
You're probably thinking, what kind of sicko gets sexually aroused by watching a little boy die in such a tragic, gruesome way? That was the kind of person that Anatoly was. In hopes of getting access to children for his own sick sexual gain, he started a children's club that was called Charged. It would actually become quite successful and would help him to become a prominent member of society. A lot of young children would come, but he was specifically interested in the young boys.
He would form a close relationship with one of the boys at his children's club. He always made sure his victims were short for their age, and he never targeted anyone older than 17 because he feared they would be too strong for him.
In order to gain access to the children, he would tell them that he had a special trick to make them taller. He would get them to where they were alone and stretch them out with ropes. This process would involve them losing consciousness. He would then molest them until he was satisfied, and then he would revive them.
In many of these cases, these boys had no idea what happened to them while they were unconscious. He did this to at least 43 people in his lifetime, and he kept films of the entire process as a memento.
He would even keep the victims' shoes as mementos. He thought he could continue getting away with this with no problem. But by June of 1964, he was carrying out this process just like he had done many times before, and it went wrong.
He tricked a 15-year-old boy named Nikolai Dobryshev into taking part in this quote-unquote height lengthening procedure. After Slivko had his way with him, he was not able to revive him. As a result, he dismembered and buried the boy's body.
In a panic and afraid of being caught, Anatoly destroyed all the films and photographs he had taken of his victims. But he couldn't seem to stop himself from continuing to hurt more innocent people, even though he had not intended to kill the boy and now knew just how many risks were involved with this horrific behavior. He kept doing it, and sure enough, he would end up killing yet another person.
On May 17th, 1965, he accidentally killed another 15-year-old boy named Alexei Kovalenko during this process. And again on November 14th, 1973, to another 15-year-old boy named Alexander Nesmianov. On May 11th, 1975, the police became involved for the first time.
Obviously, when there are young boys seemingly dropping like flies, the police are going to eventually get suspicious. Surely Anatoly knew this, but the fear of being caught wasn't enough to keep him from continuing on with these sick games. When an 11-year-old boy named Andrei went missing, his mother went to the police and told them that not only did she suspect, but knew Anatoly was to blame, and that she knew all about his creepy routine. Despite her claims, police weren't suspicious and didn't look further into it at the time. In April...
Now the fucking police. Here go the police getting on my damn nerves now. Why y'all don't be doing y'all damn job, man? Why the police have so much evidence? I'm not even like, why you just want, it's like they just brush the shit to the side like, oh, okay, it's another report or something. Okay, ma'am, we hear what you're saying, but okay, all right, go on about your business. We're going to go on about our business. Why don't they even just try to look into this dude? If they would have just looked into him halfway, they would have got enough evidence to see what the fuck going on. The police kill me with that shit, man, where they don't take shit seriously that should be taken seriously. And this is just another dude, man. This is just another example. All three of these dudes just examples of what the fuckness. People are fucking crazy out here. It's really some fucking lunatics that have lived and still living on this earth. Damn.
April of 1982, Anatoly would take the lives of 2 more innocent children, but his reign of terror on his community was finally coming to an end.
On July 23rd, 1985, Slivko took his final victim, a 13-year-old boy named Sergei Pavlov. This boy disappeared after telling a neighbor that he was going to meet Slivko.
This caught the attention of a prosecutor who decided to do an investigation of her own. She went to the children's club, and after talking with some of the boys, she soon learned that something very sinister was going on there. The boys told her about the procedure that Anatoly would do on them, and that they had no memory of what happened to them during the procedure. A month later, he was arrested and charged with murder, sexual assault, and necrophilia. He would end up telling investigators where they would be able to find the bodies of the children he buried. There were 7 murder victims in total, and they were all boys between the ages of 11 and 15 years old. Anatoly was sentenced to death for his horrific crimes, and after spending 3 years on death row waiting for his execution, it finally came. He was killed by a single gunshot behind the left ear. Prior to his death, he was interviewed and said that if he knew what sexual perversions were, he might have sought medical attention, and perhaps these crimes would never have happened. He was 50 years old when he died on September 16th of 1989. So there we have it, 3 horrific killers who not only snuffed out innocent lives, but took pictures along the way. Thanks for watching, and good night.
God damn, y'all. all three of them motherfuckers, D'Angelo, whatever his name is, I think one of them was named Jerry, can't remember the other one name, but all three of them dudes was the epitome of just lunatic, crazy, insane, what the is going on type of people, man. And I know I done said it 100 times in this reaction, but I gotta say it again. It just make me feel like I don't even want to be human. Like, I don't want to associate with, I'm a human and this human's out here doing shit like that. Like, he just make, not he, I'm talking about all three of them. All them motherfuckers just make it just bad. Like, it just put a bad light on humans, man. Like, damn, bro. Them dudes was fucking crazy. Like, them dudes, man, golly. Like, I can't even put one story above the other. All of them pretty much to me is on the same level. The dude who have fetishes about high heels. That's just crazy. And all this shit is fetish type shit. He into knocking this dude, the last dude, into knocking little boys unconscious, then having his way with them. Like, y'all just got this weird fetish crazy shit, and not only do you got this real weird fetish shit, you killing people at the same time. And a lot, they kept getting away. They got away with a lot of murders that could have been prevented, man, if they would have got caught quicker, man. We got to start catching on and start stopping these people before they even able to kill all these people. Then we catch them later. I feel like we can catch them before they kill the first victim. You know what I'm saying? And we just pay attention to what the fuck they be doing and the way they growing up and shit, and prevent it before it happened. I don't know, man. It just made me go back to, like they say, maybe everything just happened for a reason. I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. I just said I don't know about 20 times in the last 20 seconds, but I seriously don't know. The only thing I can say I know is this shit was crazy. I digress, my brothers and sisters, man. It was a great video from our girl Anna. Been a while since we came back to it, but you know we're gonna come back to it as always. And I'm glad y'all came back to me as always. Oh, this shit was crazy, man. This shit was crazy, man. I'm finna go let y'all get up out of here, though. But before you leave, if you ain't did it yet, please hit that like button. Please comment, subscribe, and do all that, y'all. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I get to 1,000 subscribers, it's gonna be a lot more amazing things to come. Gonna be a lot different change up. I got a lot of shit planned, man. I ain't even start talking about that. I'm gonna let y'all go like I said. But before I let y'all go, my brothers and sisters, be on the lookout for Mr. Baller tomorrow. And remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.